Yeah, what's up? I think it's up. Where that?
Citizens them and the government. And normally, when I say the minister, when a minister chairing of Laiba, I normally have post. But today, because me and the work fine one, the delegate say, let me chair this particular one, the host staff. So I want to tell and thank you because now the part of the engagement that one day, for the support of the government. But today, in the usual way, we will start with the normal updates across governments on which don't happen. Then from that one day, I will also introduce the panelists the way we get for can talk on who we get today. And after that one day, I will get questions the way they don't pose. We will not say every time before the press conference, we put flyers them out and we put link for make sure say people across the country there's a platform. If you're not physically able to come our press conference, make you able to ask questions. Because everybody in voice matter. And everybody in voice is for your ear. Then commander, we will also get questions from Una. We don't take Una time, or don't can spend time with you today for come participate for the press conference. So I will start with the normal updates across government. The first thing I want to talk about, we always say on Sunday, His Excellency the President left Salon for Ghana, Nairobi, Kenya, for attend the inaugural African Climate Summit under the theme Driving Green Growth and Climate Finance Solution for Africa and the World, where the reports for making starts from the 4th to the 6th September. When the President of Kenya, when His Excellency William Ruto, now in the post-one, now make we get we elder border mentor and possibly self also as Minister of Information before. We now the spokesperson for the President for military for giving updates on what's happening at the presidency. Vice President did also a joining border and a colleague when the President William Ruto for making launch which they call Financing Locally Led Climate Action, when a Kenya initiative for robust climate adaptation efforts in Kenya. In fact, when the President opened that program they are launching, he say he look forward for work with the government of Kenya and other development partners for make them formulate similar initiative we will strengthen we want them across Sierra Leone. The President also joined the border when the President of Kenya for make able launch what they call the new accelerated partnership for renewables in Africa. Yanda Sef, the President also talks say this will also echo what's a collective aspiration for make the scale up action for transform the energy sector and really green economic evolution. The President was dealing also in the whole engagement with Salon people in Kenya. Also, the leadership and management of the Ministry of Finance over the weekend also began a 3-day strategic planning retreat that's okay, way for guide how the ministry for able effectively mobilize and manage public resources where they want to align with government commitments for the People Manifesto, the Big Five. And stop there over the weekend as well. Namely, we get the Mayon Senior, the learned Mr. General, but also government through the Ministry of Justice and also Attorney General, and the Chief Minister, that we all it also for look at the government-wide paper will be launched some time ago, and also look at waiting at the next steps we will do on that day. So that we can also get the answers to General. And just yesterday, Monday, the Minister of Information and Civic Education, when Mr. Chino Abulaiba, they also do an unannounced visit where the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation transmitting facilities in the Leicester Peak. We also yanda and the old Boku facility then for telecoms, for radio stations them, for TV stations them across the country. If you go there, for go look at how the facility there, which the facility need for make we able increase the capacity and strengthen them, but also for see how the will form part of the policy thinking and direction them as we take up office. Also, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Musa Paka, over the weekend also be engaged farmers in Atomabum as part of his strategy for Feed Sierra Leone. And they also monitor activities there on the regional rice value chain project and the Sierra Leone Rice Agro Industry Cluster project. Now, boom, chiefdom, now done visit. It not stop there. The Deputy Minister too of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Madam Mamusu Patricia Masakoy, also he commend teachers them and pupils them for the high turnout we happened for the first day of school, we have yesterday, and also he visit schools them both at the eastern and western area for see how they ready and plan themselves for the new 2023 and 2024 school academic year. The Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, Madam Nabila Tunis, also they meet with the management of Milton Magai Technical University, the Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, and also inspect ongoing construction projects that already happen among and across the sectors that within the ministry, but also at the Milton Magai University. Now, the purpose of this visit, where we make, now for make sure say they assess the ongoing enhanced integrated framework projects where they get consultants, where they help them for that work. And I will also end with a press release we come out from the Ministry of Labour, where they tell me say that government will make commitments for promote decent work for Sierra Leoneans. So the Ministry of Labour in June 2022 last year, they signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the recruitment of migrant workers then from Sierra Leone to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, because of this memorandum we then signed, the embassy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we then get the office na Conakry, Guinea. Then they conduct rigorous assessments for me to accredit certain licensed private employment agencies them for recruit them migrant workers there, and also that they create 3 medical centers for conduct the medical examination test where candidates that will put themselves forward for this recruitment to go through. In the press release, they name the 4 private employment agencies there. The first one, now SOS Global Investments, Sierra Leone, Human Resources Global Consultants, Sierra Leone Limited, Sumas Traveling Consultancy Agency, Sierra Leone Limited, and Seasons Limited. So there 4 agencies there, now the one where the Ministry of Labour and the government of Saudi Arabia approve for the recruitment process there. They also don't accredit 3 agencies for do the medical test. When Ramsey Medical Laboratories, ECOMED Medical Center, and Shuma Hospital. Now the press release they emphasize say only the agency there and the medical center there, and then people for deal with for this recruitment process. Now the update and the summary, and I go one for me introduce me panelists them. We come for come every today for this discussion. Today, like I don't talk about updates, part of which we want focus on how governments they do for strengthening with democratic institutions and state institutions there. And for me, we talk that one day, we get people away they in this field whether na ministers them, na people na senior government official them, where they work, for look at the boku thing the way government they do, for see how we go with strengthening processes, for see how we go able to consolidate with peace and national cohesion of the country, and also importantly, people who get experience, the people like we delivered with we Alpha Khan, for see waiting and the presidency we said we do for move the process forward. So for start, I go out for introduce to the minister, when Amara Kalon, when the Minister of Public Administration and Political Affairs, we can give you general updates on how they go for reform in public service and also how they strengthen the state institutions. And also we get Madam Awa Sali Samai, we are the Executive Secretary for Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. We will also can give updates on post-election peace consolidation efforts. We know say after the elections, we concern them the race, the board is kind of APC the race of concern them, and also they decide say for now they only take part from governance. But because governments believe in inclusive governance and inclusive participating democracy, we not sit down. We try for reach out and extend olive branch. The president will talk away a state opening for say, for dialogue and for talk. And the government outfit and body responsible for that are the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, when I make we get the Executive Secretary now for can give updates and waiting they happen. We also get now the immediate right, Robert Baumakoa Esquire, when that is Solicitor General, when that the principal person when they advise the AG. We know that office they advise government on all legal matters in the country. And also part of their portfolio now for look at the constitutional review. So instead then I also for can give me updates on the commitment to the government we don't make the white paper and also the constitutional review process. And like I said earlier, we get now Alpha Kano, we can call AK11, for that also give you general updates on the presidency, everything they happen, and how president the one for whom we country forward for peace consolidation and national cohesion. So normally we can ask we panelists them for make a general opening statement of 8 minutes. All done, we take the 4 sets of questions them from the link, and then we take questions them also from inside. So I will start for invite the Minister, Wina Amara Kalon, for giving updates on the reform of the public service and also how government ready and plan for strengthening the institutions. Mr. Minister, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother, Minister Yusuf Ketetona. Colleagues, sorry, I will say colleagues are because we're Australians. So we all have colleagues and we are brothers. Mina Amara Kalon has been said, the minister responsible for public administration and political affairs. So basically, what I can do now, just to give an overview and don't understand what they happen and do some work for both. One, the ministry, the president in EU, prerogative as the president of Sierra Leone deemed fit that there is a need for to establish a Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs, based on the context that we, the SNP, declared the manifesto. The first pillar of the manifesto is saying they want to reform the public sector of Sierra Leone, and when they win the election, they decide to establish a whole ministry for look exclusively on that particular pillar. And they appoint me for the take up that responsibility for the next 5 years to come. Well, previously it was the Minister of Political and Public Affairs. So now we undergo a transition to become the Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs. I don't want to go into details in terms of waiting at the issues that we will try to address. But let me take you through. One, we don't see the need that the there is a lot of development activities that we go don't go on in the past 4 or 5 decades in Sierra Leone. And we see in 1948 when they established the Public Service Commission, and the Public Service Commission, we get a lot of responsibility for recruits and most things in terms of the civil service. But over the period, Sierra Leone don't grow. So we get a lot of agencies that were established, we form the public service, and we also get the civil service. But don't reach a point in time where the presidency say we need to go back and look at the books them, the laws that were established, the institutions that where they deliver service for this country. But then we see if really they are well seated in terms of international best practices. So that's the need for this ministry. So what we don't do so far, we take over. One, we don't do familiarity, so we don't look at all the institutions. The HRMO, we don't visit them with the Human Resource Management Office, where they deal with recruitment and other things. We don't visit the Public Service Commission. We get the statutory responsibility for the public service. We don't visit the Public Service Reform Unit, where they be formed and in terms of reforms to key ministries and institutions in this country. We don't visit the head of civil service and cabinet secretariat because now in the preside over the HRMO and the PSC. We don't visit them. We don't get a meeting with the Secretary President. We don't get a meeting with the Vice President also. And we still continue to get meetings then for that we know. It's more than a scoping visit. It's a familiarization and a scoping visit. One, know what they do, and then we get a first-hand understanding of what they do, and who's how they will get, who's how they will partner with them, or we'll make sure we do the reforms. So as a result of that, His Excellency the President will say this assignment is a big assignment because the whole our public administrators is the whole country, including the presidency. So he asked the Vice President for that he take 2 of the key pillars that the manifesto for them to decide over. So one is the public administration and job creation. So we don't get the first meeting with the Vice President, we don't establish a technical working group. This technical working group includes the HRMO, the PSC, and all those institutions where they deal with the public administration. The reason behind it, one, we need to establish, we need to get a vision for this ministry. We need to get a mission, and we need to get a mandate to establish it. And once we don't do that, then the next thing what we do, we take those mandates and all the things that we go to cabinet for their cabinet approval. Once cabinet approval, okay, now this ministry become a legally established ministry, then now can go into full-blown activities. Once we don't get that, we move to the next phase, but then we get the roadmap. Well, we're not in a rush because public administration, not to 10 years or 20 years or 1 year, we have to take with the next 10, 15 years for where we complete, for where we go, because the dynamic things and the change, the world don't become a global village, technology, they play a big role. So there's going to be a lot of changes when we go play a lot of reforms. So we need to develop a roadmap. So even if me not the 1 year, 2 years, if me not the next minister, we can just go on that roadmap and continue beside middle stop. So the whole idea now for them we get this roadmap. But the ministry itself for establishment, we need also for the management and functional review. As I say, the ministry is political and public affairs, and the transit to Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs. So we need to have NFR, we call the management and functional review. We will give you the organogram based on the mandate and the vision. We will give you the manpower we need for doing activities, the office space we need, the finances we need, we finance will provide for it, and that MFR and inform that. And once the MFR don't complete, don't go through cabinet, don't get that time, they will also be established. So moving forward, we also look at the opportunity for this whole roadmap, for them also identify funding opportunities, because government money not do for those reforms. I can take the whole GDP of the government is for them to reform what they do. So we need to look at funding opportunities, do we know the government. So the technical working group sits at the office of the presidency, and maybe tomorrow we'll get to the second meeting, we'll discuss critically on the vision and the mandate. But most importantly, another issue don't surface. Now we get 2 institutions under the public sector. We have the civil service and we have the public service. In the Constitution of Sierra Leone, you get the civil service, something we call the civil service. But when you go to the Constitution, there's nothing about the public service. The public service section 150, 150, 151, and 150 only talk about an institution like the Public Service Commission. But we not talk about the public service. So we need to develop a chapter in the Constitution that gives a clear understanding of the public service of Sierra Leone. For now, we just say this institution belongs to the public service, but it's not categorized under the Constitution of Sierra Leone. So we also don't get a subcommittee to look on that, and we don't begin to for draft a charter, for that particular for the Constitution. Moving forward, we also think of, we get what you call the African peer review mechanism with this ministry that the appoint and the president and the chair. We don't write them and inform them, say, we have this responsibility, one for the can support, where they help people do the reform, we don't agree. So one of the big activities where they come very soon in October 5 or 6, we get a multi-stakeholder conference, where the APRM and the OECD can have a toolkit for kind of analysis of the present situation in the public administration, and then we'll see how them go, which areas there, which gaps there, which area they will intervene. For now, they want to look at peer learning. We start the good other countries we don't succeed in see what you don't do and can't put in context naturally, capacity enhancement and building, we decide with them, we send the staff them, other civil servants, then we study about new trends in civil service and public service, but also the digitalization system. We want to go e-governance. Sierra Leone want to go full blown. In the next 2 years, the president will give an assignment is alone to go into full blown e-governance. So we have to do digitalization, so let's say the but the most important thing was not say people that want this about salary harmonization. And everywhere I go, anybody who can have office, they told them talk what is Mr. Minister, what about salary harmonization? Yes. The good is they don't establish the wage and compensation commission. They don't go through parliament, president don't sign. Now it's there. There is now a move for them to constitute the body for the commission. But the assignment for achieve that for harmonized salary get a long way for go. One, we're going to get a data set. The data sets mean the civil servant they will get, the public servant they will get, put them in a different grades, so that when you give it up the commission will insert into the system and address the grading system and the salary harmonization. But that is ongoing. We also need to talk about one bio-identifier. Now we get the PIN code for the HRMO, we get the NACIT number, we get the NIN no longer inside. How do we harmonize them there so that every Sierra Leonean gets a single identifier, and any side you go, they don't need to know your surname, they don't need to know that you, they just need to enter your number, and every time of you promote, they'll be able to use that now for as the data set for harmonize the salary scale. That is not a simple one, but there's a whole lot of things there for doing that we have to take the next 2-3 years. But now this is what we are doing. It's going to be tedious, it's going to be difficult because there's going to be a lot of back and forth. But this is what we are doing now to make sure. So first, we establish the ministry, we establish a roadmap, then we do an assessment of waiting at the present situation in the public administration. Then once we don't get the roadmap now, we can identify funding opportunities that are going to put good implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I must say this na area where people are not interested, especially the salary harmonization, which make some people they get high salary in the same position, but other people they get small salary, low salary, So Minister will give you further updates during the question time for opportunity for making and discuss. From that day, we will now come to the Solicitor General, where they can give you general updates on the government white paper and also on the constitutional review process. Because remember, say this weekend, I cannot say we'll be getting 6 weeks, and it's important because the way how we go able to advance, improve the democracy, Masalot. Now we will make sure say we get progressive laws, we get constitution where they reflect the country, constitution where they reflect the aspirations, the demographic of the population, and also how we want to make the country today and standing at the world. So I will call on Lawyer Kua, who is Solicitor General, for giving updates on that one day.
Good afternoon now. I think me will start by going back briefly to the history why we talk of a constitutional review. For the one that we know, or one that we don't read them, and some of the one that we witness them, or some of us we are a little bit younger not to understand the gymnastics of the game. This emanates because of the long civil war where we get Sierra Leone. And when we get the Lome Peace Accord, where people know about, it became a national commitment in that agreement where Parliament approved that we will review the Constitution. And we know that after the Lome Peace Accord, we began what we call the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which has been set up, where they look into the causes of the war and what is happening to development in Sierra Leone. In them, their reports, they also recommend that the Constitution be reviewed. Based on that, after the war done in 2007, the government then in power initiates the review of the Constitution by a committee where is set up when Dr. Peter Tucker be the lead. Dr. Peter Tucker gave a white paper in 2008. And because of time, that white paper action not being effectively taken on that. Coming another government led by President Nkrumah, they look into that white paper, review that white paper and come out that then there is need for set up a constitutional review committee comprising wide range of people will consist of about 80 participants, inclusive civil society, international organizations, Sierra Leoneans, political parties, and the rest. And that committee, now a former justice, now deceased, the late Justice Edmund Cowan, lead them, and he come out with a report. And then he sets that out in 2013, and the reports come out in 2016. You know, we have this Ebola intervention and the rest of it. When that come out, the government look into the recommendations and come out with a white paper. And the white paper come out in 2017. Due to change of government, implementation of that white paper not go through. Then coming the administration of President Bio. We set up a committee again for looking into the white paper of 2017, and in December 2021, they have come out with another white paper. So we also look at the efforts made throughout the period since 1999 when they signed the Lome Peace Accord to 2023. That is 24 years after the peace accord was signed and the recommendations to review the Constitution given. Government still committed to act on that. That necessitates that we have a changing situations for 23 years, coupled with the fact that government, in its wisdom, in different ways, will not take some actions towards the recommendations. So there is all need now for review all of these white papers over the years, the root being the wide consultation with Justice Edmund Cowan may do, so that we can come out with a comprehensive review we go good for the development and the peaceful coexistence of Sierra Leoneans. Nobody know there will tell me, say, no, say always, possibly after elections and after some other actions, or when elections occur, we only run for going at the Constitutional Court and at the Supreme Court for Sierra Leone. And we don't get enough experience from the court because most of the time the court is direct when interpreting the Constitution for we. We react if that necessary. Based on court decisions, all they come into play, the latest being the decision in the PR system, so that we go able to come out with something we will last we possibly for centuries. Why we feel to say at this time we not just go and implement white paper, we review thoroughly, because some of the things that Justice Edmund Cowan recommend, some action may not take place on them. Not all thing the government looks in it for this high constitution per se. Constitution can be the summary of it, but the details, I think to say we have taken actions. And as I say, of recent, the government take some bold action we over the years previous governments have been not afraid to take. And these actions were taken cleverly by legislating acts to the effect that you not equally touch what the Constitution says, but you comply for the good of Sierra Leone. The abolition of the death penalty, we all realize now one thing we've been inside Justice Cowan recommendation. And now we all will be happy that we have no more death penalty in Sierra Leone because of an act of parliament. We also will be aware, because we were there, most of the media people, we don't know the outcry of the libel laws, how inconvenient it may be to them. And when you look at the Constitution, some of them things when you go under the freedom of speech, you go under Section 27, talking about discrimination and everything, the government don't repeal the libel laws. And no longer they in existence. Of recent, you will see the government, the Constitution talk about education. It should be within an institution where there was a perception that it was a privilege. Now it is a right. Of recent, there is an Education Act where we all benefit from. Moving towards that, we talk about discrimination. Though discrimination, you have the positive side of it, which in some cases could be accepted, but in a bid to empower Sierra Leoneans, especially women, that don't be handled. And Justice Cowan will make a recommendation of 30% representation of women. Now we have the Gateway Act where everybody happy about. Equally also, you have other legislations where the Constitution talk about some amendments, environment. The Constitution deal with environment, and Justice Cowan's recommendation deal with environment. We can boast of the Environmental Act. It is now available. We also have the freedom to information. We can boast of those legislation in our laws. So this tells me that gradually there has been actions over the years in trying to make sure things work out based on that recommendation. What do we need to do now? We get to make sure we look at the document we want to provide for run this country, for let it be in line with the acts and the way they don't pass, so that we can able to deal with things smoothly. We just no need for just do things in haste. This is a modern age in which we all see technology don't develop to certain levels, and we bring with so much issue. We last elections we go on it by the PR system. How necessary and how advantageous that could be in Sierra Leone in consolidating peace and stability. This was a recommendation then. So this is so far where the law office don't go with the issue of constitutional review. And that necessitates the meeting to take place from Thursday to Sunday of this month last, so that we can able get a team, a strong team. We will look at the issues there and try to come out with something again, maybe a white paper or so, or whatever, but we will be a comprehensive review of the Constitution so that we cannot be going back and forth all the time. And there has been a setup of certain people that get responsibility for present certain of the recommendations for compilation so that it can be for onward submission to the authorities, so that the authority will able to look at them recommendations and they taking into consideration all the one that we don't pass into law, then we get something where we work towards. So it is not a situation where that Lome Peace Accord is dead and buried. It is up and alive and active, and we still go by waiting on that commitment. I want everybody to take into consideration that agreement been presented to the Parliament of Sierra Leone, and the Parliament will approve them. So it lives with we as one of the laws that we around we. So it gets the duty, the Attorney General gets the duty and responsibility to make sure actions be taken on that. Because we are almost done with a whole generation on that. If you think 23 years or 24 years or thereabout, a generation is about 20 years. We've done with a whole generation, we are still grappling with it. So we want now, as government don't commit itself in the big five, to say we finish at this time. So that is the position so far.
Thank you very much, SG. So in a nutshell, well, the pass over for the clap, eh? So in a nutshell, the threats that for the government look at the white paper will be launch in December for update them, upgrade them for the things that we will say government will not pass, they will not pass it, and we will take next steps. And then next steps then we will put them together now for cabinet, and the public will know the next step that the government will do. We also know say we get with Sister Naya, we are the executive secretary for Independent Commission for Peace National Cohesion. We after the elections, then we also be engaged for post-elections stakeholders engagement. We include boku people there. And out of the people there, they also include political parties there. And one of them political parties will be we bought ourselves the APC. We then be engaged them back lengthily on many of the things that we are concerned and to see how we will start the dialogue process and to continue for scheduling governance. So we go with Sister Naya. We don't be part of this process. We will just give you a summary of a rundown of after the elections meeting in London. Now because last week they also presented a report of the findings and commission to the president. So you will take me through our summary. Yes. We have a small time for adjustment. Because finally we are in Sister Fine until we present to you. Once they arrange the mic, the sister will give you a minute.
I want to say the Independent Commission for Peace, under the idea, the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, that the organization or the institution will be responsible for ensuring we all, Mama Salon, enjoy peace and cohesion. That means brother and sister, we see ourselves as one. And this country and world push for peace, for the interest and the development of Mama Salon. Against this background here, so we are assuring we all know what we done to do before election. All man say before election, we not be just engage one side, we engage all political parties involved.
Yeah. Thank you. We will engage all political parties then for make sure say we will enjoy a peaceful elections. And as Shose Wall, we also notice say even when small drop in day between the ECSL and the APC, we also been trying to bring them together so that they were able to talk to themselves, understand the issues then, and we've been there with them for 3 days, almost 3 days now, been to Mani till after the elections. Election done, yes, we all know that. But we know say even after the elections, but putting them no go as all man wants, including people them who say they not still they participate in governance. Against that background, they and understanding we role and we mandate as Peace Commission, we been done firstly start for engage the two main political parties then, the APC and the SLPP. We try to talk to them. For the SLPP, one of the things them where we keep talking to them and for them we understand how we go continue to push this message. So if you know we, now you can begin to push the peace message around. Then as Sean said, we all will notice say that around within the social media, it don't stop them. Now they're all day, the dialogue, peaceful one, in the your way. In other day, we also engage the APC. APC party, we do a lot of individual engagements first. You know, so first in lost, now you asking one. That's the normal. If you say where you don't come first in a class, you go jealous the one we come first and the one we come second. And you go one for business the next thing. Well, at the same thing, APC not be happy, so we also try to talk to them first separately until finally we'll be able to bring them together and do a fact-finding mission. For them to understand, we don't see some of the press release the way they may not scatter all over the place and raise their concern, but we want to get from the horse's mouth. So we get to go there and go meet them. And then be very accommodating, now be a very pleasant atmosphere, I would say that, very friendly. More members of the world are brother and sister. One way or the other, we're all interrelated, whether by tribe or by religion or whatever. So we'll be enjoying the meeting peacefully and next time we table all the concerns that we then get concerning post-elections and elections. And we tell them, say, okay, we not think you don't carry this, but we're not going to tap there. We go share this with the opposition. But one of the things where they tell me at that meeting there, they don't get problem with SLPP. They don't get problem with Marabio president. Waiting they get problem with the government of Salone. So they want for dialogue with the government of Salone and not so with SLPP. So against that background, they will say, okay, if not that una want, then una message not to the chairperson of SLPP we go care and go to. We go care una message and all una concern them to the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Which now exactly that we will do about 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago actually. We will go in a state house as a commission, which the chairperson will lead the process, and we board members and a few of the staff there. We take this message and we can go and we'll tell the president exactly what's in a concern. One of the key concerns, one of the things that where we gladly want for all that talk where we talk, they say they're ready for sit down and talk. They're willing for sit down at the table and talk with the government of Salone so that they will bridge the gap and work in the interest of Salone. We tell them, say, okay, fine, we're ready for work with you now. So I want this work for go on. They say they want international people then for can sit down and mediate with we, the Peace Commission, between the government of Salone and the APC government. We tell them, say, fine, we don't anyway to say, but because now the government of Salone, we need authority from the government of Salone for bringing international people and come mediate. So that will be part of the thing that where we tell presidents about, say, the need waiting with bank on habitat, then for can sit down and talk this case with we the Peace Commission. And President said we do a press release after that, and in response to we visit Stolan, and he said key highlights that in willing for later international people they also come, sit down and get a conversation with between the two. And then we all sit down. Peace Commission now they take the lead. Now we always don't begin take the lead by this as state institution, make we work with the international people. Because President been giving that go ahead day for make the international people they come, quick one, because we know how we stand. We don't tell all through the party they say, why they talk about party mean two people now so then they talk about mediation. So you know me saying that the SNPP and the refer still to the government of Salone. We tell them two different parties they also say, we don't ready for make this thing move quick one. So immediately we contact the Commonwealth, we contact the AU, and we also contact the ECOWAS. And I want to tell everybody, say, then people here, so we don't talk to them, they say they're willing for come, na Salone, and for can dialogue, for can act the Peace Commission, because government giving the mandate for make we write to them, not the government writes to them. So we are not saying that the Peace Commission will do all this. So we write to them, and they say they're willing for can dialogue with we. So now this process we did now, and some even give we dates where they're ready for can, because we propose dates, they give me dates, and we will work on that after they talk to you right now for make sure say they can. Because I know some man they don't book their tickets on for reach Mama Salone for can talk this case. Now we right now after they talk to you. We also they get behind the scenes meeting for make sure say all man are ready and we're ready for can table this talk and we talk this talk so that all the concerned will come at the table, people that will witness waiting they say and how we go out the international people then will not say all the problems are not going to solve one thing because we also don't develop the methodology as a commission how we expect this negotiation to go. We don't say something that they wait there for solve one thing, something that a medium-term goal, and something that a long-term we will solve them. So that's so we don't program them. So that when they come, then SSF will go them roadmap, then SSF will put things them in the category how they want them, and then SSF will decide how they will solve the problem. We, the habitat, not only work for hotel how to solve the problem, now them too, the two parties them, therefore sit down and agree how they will resolve their problem there. So if I want to tap the talk, then also we dey now at Peace Commission for ensure say peace maintain our Salone.
Thank you very much. So like I was saying, the dialogue now between APC and the government of Sierra Leone, also between APC and SNPP. And also the dialogue will be led by the Peace Commission supported by the international partners and Commonwealth, ECOWAS, and EU. So we will now come to Alpha Khan AK11 for giving short updates and summary of what happened at the presidency and a few comments then before we go to the first set of questions then. We will be on start in the next 5 minutes. So over to you, Alpha Khan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Deputy Minister for Information and Civic Affairs. Good afternoon, all. Maneri, journalist and good afternoon. I'm glad for the idea once more, particularly in the panel inside. All the 4 issues we have not put across, starting from the Ministry for Public Administration and Political Affairs, Abidongere, as of now. Although it was not called so then, but of course, the mandates being to cover aspects of that, we call the establishment. Not really easy ministry. stuff. But I know say the minister will not to pay Amara Caron, the capacity, capability, and ability to make a care and control. The issue of the CRC, I did from the beginning. I did even from the conception of the 1991 Constitution. So I did again when we reviewed this part. Because then, when I was a member of Parliament, when late Mr. Peter Tucker, with the head of that commission, we did meet some panels. So we know the progress. And also, when the white paper came to the government we have been part of then, I was also involved. And when the president then, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, set up the own CRC review committee, of those 80 members, maybe they represent the APC in that. So I know about it. And the ICPMC all started from the Bintu Mani 3, where President Bill called. Because when they came in 2018, the very first thing we did, November of that year, we called all men in the country, so we send representatives. I don't like the way we come to the go. We seem for the drifting apart. And so we're a small country. Now look, I and heads and see how we can resolve it. A lot of people don't know. But from the APC, I mean, no more. But apart from that, we still bring in some takeaways. And I take away the make sure say the ICPMC now it's in place. And look at the good work we're doing now. All the tensions were apart because we for me there is really not much to do talk about. Tension are really created. We were there on different sides. Then on the Fenway, so let them bridge the gap. We are always the talk say, coming from Usade, if they come from Usade, I want to be a bridge. And a bridge is what we need in Sierra Leone. And I think say the ICPMC could be the vector, carrier for that. So I congratulate you. So the SG, I believe say, you don't almost highlight aspects of the CRC recommendation before. We don't turn into acts of parliament and don't become law, which means we are not averse to improving the governance system through the Constitution. So on that basis, I deserve a president where for me, I say I was a law-abiding president. He actually sticks to the Constitution. Anytime you speak to President Madabio, he will ask you so you will check relevant sections of the Constitution. He doesn't want to step aside, step out of that Constitution. And we are very lucky. Some presidents throw the Constitution away and do it in a month. This one on one way to keep it about. You like it or not, give it to him. Yes. When he was a soldier, he was a leader. In 3 months, he handed over. I said, this is not my time. Let the Constitution reign. And he did that. So a man like that, not supposed to we were expecting he would be a dictator. He would be an autocrat. Or he would be, if you call somebody who they just run the country the way he wants. And when he came back the second time, the very first speech we make, when they know where I mean, after the election results, he said, I'm sending Emily Branch, and he called me brother, Dr. Samuel Kumar. He did call him by name. I was surprised. Say, come for Sierra Leone. This election don't know. And by all intents and purposes, we are holding I will agree. And also one journalist with his hand talks saying the election was not free. was not fair, was not credible, was not transparent. I don't see that at all. And that's a fact. And then we lost really fast the Presidential Elections Act of 2022. Tell you say when the results have been announced by the body, the head of the body will be a power from the Constitution, i.e. the ECSL. Any citizen, whilst you are a registered voter in Sierra Leone, if you have issues with that election, you have 7 days within which you can make your complaint known to the Supreme Court. 8 million of us, including the opposition, including Dr. Samora Kamara, nobody not going to Supreme Court. So it means 8 million of us cannot be wrong. We all say the election be free, fair, and transparent. But they count the executive secretary of the ICPNC saying, if you play football, say, he lost on that game, but we have to watch more. So it's very difficult for them to just go out to say, so we will tick for you, say, you don't give me the money back on the face. However, now that the ICPNC don't begin break their eyes, don't begin stretch out, because if we said the offer for that, well, then it's an original, not Alpha and I wouldn't go there. Because now people say I'm one-sided, but I'm not. I'm a statesman now. And I believe say which I want, not peace for Sierra Leone. But coming to the details of what President Bill did right now, when he don't set up in government after the elections, or still setting it up, because I keep telling people, the President job, not an easy job. First of all, the appointment, not a small number of people they get for appointment, 966. So we still grappling with that. That kind of thing, difficult to me, I don't want to understand. Because every night we lie down in the window, but we don't go to China, we don't go to this, go to lie down, there are so many interests. But with that, you have to be ambidextrous, you have to be a parallel processor. You will have grapple with your own problems when you get at that time. And running the country at the same time, because running the country can't wait. Has to carry on. So Sierra Leone has been running. Chief Minister, they run up and down, they go and check how other ministers they work. The Ministry of Internal Affairs, they look after the security of the country. Defense, they live for any external incursion. And of course, we, in State House, we did begin the support for Cairo. The last 2 weeks, the audiences they will get. The audiences they will get. They call me. I'm called a spokesman. What do they do? What does talk they call me? So the audiences they will take, the particular one that we I think is important to now. Now they say PNC, we can present the report, England give you already a rundown. But then also the president will meet with the paramount chiefs, the heads of the paramount chiefs, the National Council for Paramount Chiefs, they don't come to the president. And what did he do? We got 190 or so chieftains in the country. The president believes and then chieftains and they put together and they make one more Sierra Leone. So now he has this big five, don't can hand over to them, especially the farming, the agriculture, to them with feed salon. So we don't do that one. But of course we don't get some external incursion, pressures we don't come. The first one was last week. So the week before that, the ICC, we write letter, we request a meeting with His Excellency the President, when he goes to the United Nations General Assembly. But I believe he now understands it was a request. So no need for relay of that. When they go, when the President gets time, he go meet with a lot of people, including maybe Karen Casey of the ICC. But then the other thing we happen is that we received on the 31st of August a press statement from the State Department for saying, because the State Department believes, say, small UQ came in play by the election, and at the same time, some people where they threaten others, where they intimidate others, where they curse other people, for many afraid for going to exercise their rights and all that, which means they're not targeting anybody, as they say. They're not targeting the people as well. No, the government. People will then really say, no, they do that. Now they say they're not going to restrict them if they ask for visa to go visit the country. When I really important, and I believe, say, we all understand now where it stands. And only nobody, now when you go, now you don't know. So if I reach there, we don't speculate. Now they're right. If we say if you want to go to clock up, I say, well, we know we can't go to clock up, what's it up to you? You know? So if that is the case, we will now left for now. We will sit down. Yeah, I wait there for any questions. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Like on the last one we say, not to against the government of Sierra Leone or the people, but also the first step. Remember, say in September 2017, then we also decided to do visa restriction for the issuance of visas. So not to say the first step, then see happening. But government is committed for advanced democracy. Government is committed for make sure say we review the electoral system. I make the president be don't appoint the vice president for lead that committee. And the committee right now we can do work for put the concept together and do some consultation together. And also we look forward to the dialogue because the vice president and the committee also feel safe. Once the dialogue also don't complete, it's also good for also include APC inside the review of the electoral system because that's how we get ideas for how for make also for improve. Also just for look at what the easiest thing they do, but also look at what election bodies that they do. So for instance, how the media they cover election, the security sector, PPRC the work. So it's a comprehensive review of the electoral system, also just ECSL. And we get questions that we don't ask, so we will go through that quickly before we come to journalists that we there. I will run through the questions then. Then I will probably assign that we will take 4 minutes per them for specific people then. This one starts first for the Minister of Public Affairs. They say, from Philip, this is the one that we ask online. Philip say, as a concerned Serenian, please, why is our president so weak in taking action against the so-called foreign ambassadors like that of the US, UK, and the EU? Well, president's not weak. Remember, say we get relationship with other countries then. When a partnership of equals and of sovereignty, we mean say any ambassador over there. For instance, the US ambassador, he represents the president of the United States. The High Commissioner of UK over there, he represents the Prime Minister and the government. So I think say president, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he relates with them at that level. And also another question we they ask. I'll make you go through them quickly. Then from Abu Emmanuel Koma, he said, how do we hold people in public offices accountable when they fail us as a nation? That day, sometimes we left the minister for talk about that one day quickly. And from this anonymous, he said, is the Nube Bridge going to ever actualize as was planned by HE the president? And I will left one to Alpha to be one minute to the one day, wait next to talk for the president. And Matilda Ikan Sonsiama, it is said, Mr. Kalong, don't you think the public service, starting from the PSG downwards, needs total cleaning of the old folks and allow fresh graduates? the same material they asked, say, Mr. Kalong, just as our HEBO have decided to use more young people in governance, it would be wise if you and the PSC do likewise. And then Jumbo Singh, they say, why is it that government late for paying the fee subsidies for first term, fees paid in second term, likewise for the other terms? And then they also asking questions the way from Anonymous. They say from last year, the topic of digitization has been the big topic in Parliament. Please, I want to know why we can't achieve this as a nation. And then other person Anonymous say, Mr. Deputy Minister, I want to know how the Fit Salon project is going to start. Time is going, agriculture is in deal, and we therefore start now. Other person, they say, our national commitment for development must be commonplace for collective essential responsibility in our respective zones and our comments. One anonymous person back, they say, I actually want to know why the president is refusing to upgrade the southern part, especially Moyamba, Bond, and Pujon, which are the most remote districts. And then another person, they say, what is the government doing to caution the effect on extreme hardship facing the country, especially with the subsidy going on? And then the last one, they say, Minister Kalong, I don't have the chairmanship of APRM since last year, and it is for 2 years tenureship. Can you please shed light on its impact? I will just start quickly. I'll just go quickly with few of the things. On government subsidy. Now, government pay subsidies then for last academic year with the exception of the third term. And for Ministry of Finance, then don't inform me say that the third term subsidy for schools, they will pay them in the next 2 weeks, either this week or next week. And also government, school are just open. So government subsidy normally for the first time, government they wait, say the schools they don't do the enrollment. So you know almost speaking in a school, almost schools the government don't approve. So when they put all together, Nike inform government subsidies. So now so government therefore use for this first time we do. But for the third term, we now last academic year government will pay in the next 2 weeks. And then for agriculture, I also want to tell and say the minister and the PACA, they put together a document for make them launch the Feed Salon program. He informed me say he wants to do it next month. When and how the 10 each, I will also make on another one day. And then the one for the ultimate government they refuse for upgrade the southern part, when Moyamba, Bond, and Pujon. And I will not say in the last 5 years, government implement beaucoup projects then. Na Moyamba, na Bo, na Pujon. For instance, we know say government do some work on CLSG on the lights. Na Bo, he also do on na Moyamba. Government also the Mabang Bridge na Moyamba. And government also rehabilitate beaucoup schools them and health facilities. So that person they indeed government not a refuse for upgrade. Government they do plenty work na the southern parts, but also across the country. Na the north, na the western area, and also na the east. So I will stop there so far for allow the minister for just answer to the few questions the director have just 1 minute.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Minister. The first question, I think government has a lot of structures the way those set in place for hold DTBRs accountable, working for the public servants, including the president himself. We get the audits, and we know say the audit are one of the structures the way they don't set for audit and hold DTBRs accountable. Within the system itself, they go to them called performance appraisals, where they use, we staff them, then they before the year they begin, then they come up saying a heavy and see what we want to do. And each staff within the system, they look at what they want to do, and then go they do activities and define them well, define the indicators. And then they make sure say any trade they do fulfill the right indicators. By the end of the year, then they do staff appraisal and based upon the things the way say they do. and that they can use also for assess you if you succeed. At the ministerial level, we're going to call the performance appraisal also, which I said in Nigeria right now. We're already changing the activities they want set for next year, and the deliverables, the indicators, and then the following, and see if we achieve them. At the parliamentary, we call the Parliamentary Accounting Committee. We also look at the call MBAs, the institutions, then we come and ask them questions about what we do. So there are various layers of structures that the government set in place for audit and various accounting. We have the ACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission also. We also get the how they call them, the ombudsman. It's another accountability tool we will use again. You have bigger, the law. The law is another accountability tool again. So we have various, depending on waiting at the issues at hand, you have various structures we they set across the country for audit and various accounting. APRM, the president 2 years back, then they appointed him as the chair of the APRM, and in January 2024, they relinquished the position as the chair for another region in Africa. 5 targets will be set for the president. Number 1, we say we want to get universal accession to the APRM, meaning all the 54 countries of the EU, we want to get access to the APRM. Number 2, we want to improve on partnership, so that the APRM will assign lots of partnership pacts with donor partners, and then we will support the drive for implement Agenda 2063, we call the agenda, the Africa we want, with the 7 aspirations there. Another one also where the Africa will celebrate the 20 years of the APRM. Yeah, and the 4th one, for Sierra Leone, as the chair of the APRM, do a second country generation review. We don't do the first one in 2015, we're on the base. Now we'll do the second generation. How far we have gone? We almost don't get out of the 54 countries, those 4 countries now they're going to accede to the APRM. So within a long time, we don't get 8 out of the 12 we did, we don't accede. And then a strong discussion with the president, we get with the president and they already accede. Second is it has to be partnership. Now the APRM boasts of one of the institutions that we want to get the largest pool of donor partners when we look at various projects across Africa inside these 2 years. The 20th anniversary, now March then before Holland, was as a result of varying things that we have the constitutional change of government in Africa, where we see the Commonwealth across Africa. So the president during that period, in 2022, they asked in peers in the African Union that let them change the African governance report team from looking at the 4th industrial revolution of Africa for looking at the constitutional change of government in Africa. So then we do how we call a targeted review in 12 countries in Africa, and that reported up about the president will report and to the peers. Sierra Leone said, "My God, this is our next one to report to you." By November, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of APRM in South Africa with the president, the good says, for the key celebrants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will just ask Alpha Khan for just for the movie with 1 minute.
Yes. President still committed to the Lumiere. Only one market. No one serious happen. Because if you know serious happen, then they don't begin laying the foundations. We are ready to hit the road. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And also on the digitalization as well, the IMEC President established a new ministry for communications, innovation and technology because President committed to that one. So we'll take questions then from the all now. We can start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we start with you, sir.
Yes, sir. My question, permit me, sir, to ask 2 questions.
So one, sir. One question.
No, I mean,
Okay,
let me go to the Solicitor General, because the next point for the Madam, I'll prefer to meet at the office, right? Solicitor General, sir, I've just received an information here that nobody doubts you when you're heading a constitutional review because you won 95% of the cases at the High Court Commission of Inquiry. Then again, you represented Sweden as a case between Sam Sumana and the government of Sweden, and everybody won it. Now, make I ask you, you talk of another constitutional review, despite this very constitutional review don't go into many hands. You talk of comprehensiveness, but if this will be comprehensive, despite the change of generation, the change of times, and the change of behavior and all that.
Thank you very much. The next person will be Isa. Yeah, one shot. Name and one shot.
Yes, I'm Solomon Ray Wilson. I'm editor of Secretary Newspaper. The question for I want to thank we able Solicitor General for giving me historical information on how the constitutional review process all started and how the level of actions taken so far. But I just want to make it go back to it and tell someone what will be the significance of having a new constitution.
Thank you very much. Keep our shots. Thank you.
Bokari Camera, I write for the New Storm newspaper. First, I got attend this press briefing for months. But today, I don't see when you say no, we pray. That's not one. Two, yes, our position. My question now, I understand say ACC they investigate SABC. I want to know if that's true and for what they investigate. Yes.
Yes.
All right, my name is Suleiman Jawad and I write for Expo Times newspaper. I want to ask a question to the Solicitor General. According to you, over the years, over 23 years now since we started to get Constitutional Review Committee and the Webber report, but actions have not been done. As the Solicitor General, what do you think will be lacking? And as the current Solicitor General, what do you intend for putting in place? At least because the laws, forget the laws now, one thing, and implement them is very important now to society. You talk about the Environmental Act. We don't say it there, but let me look at it, Ugama Sanctuary. The land encroachers have taken place or have taken over the Ugama Sanctuary. You know, if we say something lacking as a government, as Solicitor General, taking into the fact that the laws have not been implemented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, on this side. Question.
This is going to Kamara Kalon from administration. Yeah. You talk about the familiarization with things as a new ministry, including that of HRMO, PS, among others. But you know, they tell me looking at the vision for the new ministry as a top position. We think for it, for we look at the mission of setting up this new ministry and the area of the salary organization. You know, for say, I mean, like every day in and out with the crowd, when you see on social media, government, they appoint or create new ministries. You know, for say, I mean, the wage bill is bloated every day and day by creating all of this. And the last one.
Thank you very much. No, thank you. So we could just make the actions to the questions that we should check 1 minute. So we start with the minister.
Yeah, I think I make it clear as a new ministry, you get a procedure we need for which. First, you get to vision, you get your mission, you get your mandate, the Gazette, sorry, the class of 2 cabinet, the Gazette and the Committee and Ministry.
So what will we do now? We are looking at the vision, the mission, and the mandate. That's why we have a technical working group that sits in the office of the Vice President. What they meet now to define the vision, the mission, and the mandate. Once we get that, then now we go to an assessment. The assessment will tell you the gaps that will exist in public administration for them to develop a roadmap or find a solution to the gaps. So it's a process. Am I very clear? To answer your question. So now, salary harmonization with the present state of affairs in the country are two different things. Now, why we say salary harmonization? You get somebody getting a grade 8, now the public service, they pay 10 million. Somebody in grade 8, then at the civil service, they pay 3 million. We now then at grade 8, but I get different salary scale. So what you expect that person at the civil servant to do? They migrate. Compare at the public service, but they can work with it. So what did happen with the civil service? They lost expertise. Also, because of the salary disparity. So what we declare for Canton to harmonize that salary so as to get a uniform salary across grades and sectors. So for example, who do you rate with the Vice President in the judiciary, in the legislation, in the Minister of Agriculture? Who do you rate with the Vice President? Who do you rate with ministers? Who do you rate with parliamentarians across the board, across sectors? Once you don't that grade, they don't do you grade it, don't do you details them. Then now as you run them across, you know say, I don't need for day that the Minister of Agriculture for them to get the same salary. We don't need for them at the grade, we get different areas, we work at different sectors, we get the same salary. So that's what the commission
thank you. I think I get 3 questions, but I will reduce them to 2 because 1 and 2 they deal with comprehensiveness and significance of having a new constitution. I have no mandate or authority to talk about whether the constitution is new or old. With the talk of constitutional review, we review the constitution, maybe substantially or whatever, but that definitely will come out as we all go see. And the significance of that, definitely, we all are aware, say, we get lacuna, we get certain holes in the constitution we need for address, and that we always want to go to the Supreme Court quick. I think if I could recollect from 2004, the special court to date, we're always in the Supreme Court every year, I'll tell you for sure. Every year, from the setting up of the special court to date, we're always in the Supreme Court. Those are things we don't get enough experience in, and we think to say this time we want to put most of those experiences practically into the Constitution and see how it works. We also get the issue of what is lacking and implementation of the Constitution or whatever. Specific reference to the environment. We have the Environmental Act. It's going to strengthen when we get something in the Constitution talking about the environment specifically and detailed, to the effect that it empowers the Act for being very strong. So it becomes a constitutional issue when you are environmentally unfriendly. We know now that is the vogue of the world. We talk about energy, we talk about everything, climate change and the rest of it. And we cannot stand in this century without having something in the Constitution that will save the future generation. So that is very important. Why make it come into Constitution?
Thank you very much. And the question on the SLBC, obviously we don't see on social media say Boku allegations today. We they don't make being a lawyer and we don't see allegation, everybody gets presumption of innocence. So it means say that what we do when the allegations are concerned, then they come, the minister will try for contact ECC for them do a forensic audit for no we say everything they happen inside it when they're done, and also they will get back to the ministry for make we move on. And I think say because of the commitment to the time, we want to make we get last round of everybody now on here for make them able to do the last word before they left. So we start with the only woman among we from the executive secretary, Lena Awasama.
Well, we want to tell one man say, now one day salon we get, and we'll be proud of the salon. because the Global Peace Index don't always say now we are the third most peaceful country in Africa, and it means say we far more peaceful than we neighbors them, whether Guinea or Liberia. So if anything happens, if you go now on friendly environment, Salone safe past them. So now you and me, we all responsibility for make sure say we keep Salone peaceful. One of the key things then what we can do now for watch what we post on social media and how we communicate on social media, because that are one of the biggest battleground right now in terms of journalism, ideologies, and everything. So if you want me Salone go before and continue for shine, you for make sure say you send out peaceful message. As journalists, I can see una annual AGM they come this weekend and we think na peace and national cohesion. So Gia, una take the message they out for we. National reconciliation are key, and also peace are key for foster development na Mama Salone. And not forget for the play for Salone, it's key. I am no more weekends. Thank you.
Minister?
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to make everybody know say reform of this nature is all out inclusive. The constitutional review is part of the review of the public administration. The issue about peace, the independent commission review is part of the public administration. The appointment with president they do are seen as social media people they say they don't appoint Gary specialists, they don't appoint pepper specialists. But I think people, there are times we have to be serious about ourselves. If we are talking about moving this nation, they will therefore begin to talk about specialization. And agriculture is about specialization. You get people who specialize. For example, when you go to Ghana, I'll give you a typical example. The Ministry of Energy, when you go there, they make different directors. You get director for solar energy. You get director for thermal energy. You get director for wind energy. You get director for this type of energy. So you get specialization. People who work exclusively for study a specific one and make sure they promote them with as a trademark. The same thing in agriculture in Ghana, where we get cocoa specialists, so we don't go in whole life like cocoa leper and come up with different varieties and different value chain activities the way for me they promote the cocoa and make them one of the things that we face GDP to the country. And this is what we are, it's part, and all what happens is part of the reform of the public administration. We move to a different trend wherein we look at specialization, and that is exactly what happened at the civil service. Specialization, whether in charge of teacher, whether in charge of this, whether in charge of that. So that when you go to the office, you make different specialities then. When you go say now, you talk with them, you will give something we're going to use for you to push your agenda moving forward. So one can say thank you, and then we also are ready for support. It's going to be a massive reform, but I know since we can do it because we don't do it before. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. We move to the SG, before we head to Mundani.
Thank you, Chair. The only thing we would like for just reiterate our own minds that let we give support to the Constitution, let we make them a reality this time. The Constitution is not just about few people. Now for protect every Sierra Leonean. You are very right. Now that document the protector. And sitting here today, for those who don't in peace, will not affect ourselves. Now that document is responsible for that. For those we define Sierra Leone and still say we are Sierra Leoneans, now that document is responsible for that. The absence of the Constitution, now a chaotic society we will get. Where the one that will only survive and the one that will get rank, power and might. So because of that, now a secret document to every Sierra Leonean. Let we just encourage and support government in this move so we can deal with it once and for all.
Clearly with the questioner, we ask the public service, public administration, say in a time this now for the young people themselves to get enter into important positions. The president don't lead. President believes say we get talent among the young people. But the young people themselves, therefore believe in themselves. They will make sure say they open themselves to all sorts of unfair and unnecessary commentaries when they come out on social media. The fact that you don't come up with the true stories when somebody is writing a fallacious story, when they left, when I feel wide open for let people them incur into our own field, our own space, as specialists in this field, the media, will not agree. Because social media now, they wage war on professional journalists who have to take the pen and fight against it. Make we get peace in Sierra Leone. You are the opinion leaders. People listen to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And so we will end on the question we just asked about the hardship, government care, government concern. It means anytime we increase any price that is country, it means we will look at all the options there. And we will look at what is the least thing we will call hardship. And even now they only fuel. Government still, they subsidize. Because government subsidize, it means what we have don't pay for be higher than what's in now. On that note, I want to tell all the panelists thank you. All I said thank you very much. We'll come back to the next week with our program, Government Weekly Press Release. Government Weekly Press Conference. Thank you.